Prague, the city of 100 spires, as its nickname suggests, can boast a lot of churches. But while most tourists have heard of the regal St. Vitus Cathedral and the charming St. Nicholas Church, this little one's name is obscured by the fame of one of its treasures. Let's go have a look. This tiny 47 centimeters tall statue made of wood, wax and canvas is known as the Baby Jesus of Prague, or the Child of Prague. This statue attracts crowds of religious pilgrims and curious passerby inside because it is said to perform miracles. I know that some of you might not believe in miracles, but stick around and I think I will be able to convince you otherwise. But for now, let's find out where the statue even came from. According to a legend, the statue of baby Jesus was made by a Spanish 16th century monk called Joseph. Joseph and baby Jesus, huh? Little too on the nose. The historical records say that the first owner of the statue was a noble lady called Isabel of Britannia, who then gifted it to her daughter, Marie Manrique de Lara y Mendoza. What a name! On her wedding day, when she was getting married to a Bohemian nobleman called Vratislav of Pernstein. So that's how the statue ended up in Prague. Then Marie Manrique de Lara gave the statue to her daughter called Polixena. Put a pin in that, we'll come back to this lady later. And because Polixena never had a daughter of her own, she gifted it to this church, to the Order of Discalced Carmelites. This is where the statue still can be found today. The church is called the Church of Our Lady Victorious. Baby Jesus went through some rough times in 17th century when this church was plundered and it ended up in the junk, missing both hands. If you just tuned in for this video, please remember we are talking about a statue, not a child. Luckily, monks who came here later fixed the statue, and also after some time the tradition of dressing it in different very pretty robes was started. This little fashionista collected a lot of robes, and now we can visit a museum / his wardrobe inside of this church. Let's go have a look. There's some stairs to climb. Alright, this is the museum. I'm looking for 3 things here. Let's see if we can find them. This one comes from the family that used to own it originally. Marie Manrique de Lara from Canary Islands. Pretty cool. Bright like sun. And this one is one of the oldest robes of baby Jesus of Prague, and it was sewed by Maria Theresia, the Empress Maria Theresia, in 1754. Well, they of course had to repair it over centuries, but the original embroidery comes from 18th century. Pretty cool. The infant Jesus is dressed in the colors of the current liturgical seasons. White, the color of glory and purity, is reserved for Christmas and Easter. Red, symbolizing blood and fire, for Holy Week, Pentecost and feasts. Purple, color of penance for Lent and Advent. And green, the color of life and hope for the ordinary time. This is the robe that he's rocking right now. You can find robes here from Vietnam, from Mexico and South Korea. This one has a sombrero. Adorable. Found another thing I was looking for, and this is the robe that was gifted by Paulo Coelho, who is a very famous author, and he has a personal story connected to baby Jesus of Prague, because when he was not an author yet, he came here in about 1982 and he prayed to baby Jesus and asked for his help so he becomes a writer. Then he came back here years later with a donation of this beautiful robe because he sold 200 million copies of his novels. The infant Jesus of Prague apparently inspired Antoine de Saint-Exupéry to create his character of the Little Prince. Alright, there was only one thing that we couldn't find in the museum, and that was a crown that was gifted to baby Jesus of Prague by Pope Benedict XVI. In 2009, the fame of baby Jesus spread around the world, probably thanks to the missionary work of the Discalced Carmelites, who would bring a little figure of baby Jesus or an image of it wherever they went, which was a lot of places. The statue of baby Jesus was believed to perform miracles. I'll save the biggest one for later, but the most common ones include returning eyesight, healing, and helping during plague epidemics and wars. The Irish are perhaps the only people who attribute weather control to the little baby Jesus, or as they call it, the Child of Prague. According to their tradition, the statue of baby Jesus should be put in a bush in their garden before the wedding day, so it summons good weather. I mean, with the amount of precipitation in Ireland, you do need to summon some supernatural forces for help. Alright, we have another place to visit in this video, because if you remember, I mentioned Polyxena, who was generous enough to donate the statue of baby Jesus to this church. We have to come back to her and visit the place where she lived, which is in the Prague castle. Let's go. Alright, we made it to the Prague castle. And now, as we have the gorgeous view of the lesser town from the balcony of the Lubkovitz Palace, let's continue with our story about Polyxena, a woman that brought the statue of baby Jesus to the church that we visited today. By the way, if you look over there, you can see that church. Even though Polyxena came from a wealthy family, eventually they ran into some financial troubles, so they decided to marry her to the richest nobleman in Bohemia. His name was William of Rosenberg, and he was 32 years older than she was. There was another problem. William was already married 3 times, and all of his 3 wives died shortly after their wedding from mysterious diseases. That made Polyxena's mother very nervous, so she decided to give her a talisman from death. And that was the statue of baby Jesus of Prague, of course. And it worked. William died after 5 years of their childless marriage, and Polyxena was able to marry again, have a child, and live in the beautiful Lubkovitz Palace in the Prague castle. This is Marie Manrique de Lara and young Polyxena. Look. Found a letter of Polyxena to her second husband. Listen to this, guys. May God bless you and protect you from all the harm, my darling. Wow. Who would understand what's written here? You would need like a whole investigative team for that, no? May he give you all you desire, with the exception of another woman, because my husband shall have no one but me. I feel Polyxena very much. Polyxena will be remembered in Czech history forever, because she was the one who protected the councilmen who were defenestrated here in the Prague castle in 1618. She's covering them with her back from the raging crowd. Lubkovitz family was a patron of Ludwig van Beethoven, so in this museum here you can find a lot of his original manuscripts. So Lubkovitz family also loved their dogs. I find these photographs adorable. Look at this one. He's like, please take a photo of me, take a photo, I cannot keep still. And this one, the black one, they were trying to keep it still. They were like, stay, but it wanted to scratch, right? It's like, oh, something is itching in my ear, and that's when they took a photo. Okay guys, thank you for watching. If you would like to visit the Church of Our Lady of Victorious and see the statue of baby Jesus yourself, it is opened every day. Please remember that it is an active church, so they do have masses and you have to be quiet when you are visiting it. The museum and the church are for free. Alright, we'll see you in our next video. Bye!